What is up, everybody? I'm No Lux Given, and today we're going to be taking a look at the peak of the Sphinx. One of the things that I was really excited for with the recent addition to the Sphinx's hero power, that you get that free big book of spells once you go below 20 health, is the idea of effectively playing with 5 treasures. You got the big book of spells, you've got the normal Sphinx hero power, which is kind of like an interesting take on Merlin's hat, and then you can still play Crystal Ball, and you can still play 2 more treasures on top of that. So effectively kind of feels like you are playing with 5 treasures at the same time, which could lead to some really busted mage comps, and that's what we're going to take a look at today. We got off to a pretty nice start with a Genie's Wish into a Roll the Die, which is obviously fantastic. It's great to just find Genie's Wish in general, because that means that future Genie's Wishes are free, and then whatever spell you roll into, that's also going to be free whenever you find it for the rest of the game. And with that, Cinderella is also a really great pickup. Just need to find 2 more Genie's Wishes, and then we'll have a free treasure there. Really free, because those Genie's Wishes aren't even going to cost us any gold. So that seems sweet, and definitely a good start here. 40 health going into 3.2, and we're going to be strong enough to win this combat as well, since we did get that roll the die. And yeah, that'll let us still keep on streaking here. And on 3.0, we have kind of a weird turn. We don't get to pick up any level 3 characters, which isn't great. We do want to find some level 3 characters, potentially take some cracks at finding Crystal Ball as well, but for now, just going to pick up another Crafty, a Baby Root, and then cast a spell for Cindy, and we'll be on our way here. Gonna jump ahead and get into... Oops, I jumped too far against the Pied Piper. Okay, well, a little spoiler there. We're gonna win. Oh, wow, they're not playing anything. Okay, that's why I jumped too far ahead. That combat was super quick. They just had a Coin of Charon and some, what do you call it? Blind mices that they picked up. Blind mice. Yeah, blind mice. Whoops. And then we Genie's Wish again. So Cindy is really close to activating. We'll also pick up a Crafty triple. And I do like Secret Stash in general, but we do have a dragon, and I also really like Dragon's Nest. So I'm going to wind up picking that one up. There is some awkwardness with Secret Stash because you do kind of want your health total to go down, though that isn't why I didn't pick it up. I mean, we have a dragon, and I also really like Dragon's Nest too. But Secret Stash, I still think could have been a great treasure there. With that Genie's Wish into the Magic Research, we are only 1 spell away from activating Cinderella next turn. So that is pretty nice. We are also, I think, just barely going to lose this combat. Yeah, our Sure Shot gets attacked into there. So we'll take some damage, but it's fine to take a little bit of damage and get closer to 20. So that way we can get that free big book of spells going on as well. And add that to the board. I suppose here I am debating the Reckless Wager. It could be fine going into 4.0 to pick that up, have a little bit of extra gold, grab some dragons, complete the treasure for Cinderella as well. I think that's pretty reasonable. And then after that, I will wind up picking up a Magic Research, which does have some interesting implications here. It means that now I want to triple up on a tier 2 character, like Baby Dragon potentially, though I will also pick up this Mummy here as well to potentially try to help me win the wager, as well as just being a strong character, I think. And then the other thing that the Mummy does is, once we triple the baby dragons, then we could triple the Mummy, and then we'll have 2 different looks at some tier 3 treasures, though there are good tier 4 ones as well. We looked at Forking Rod the other day. That one's definitely strong. Really close there, by the way, to actually tying that combat even. But again, taking some damage, not the worst thing in the world. This is a really interesting point of the game when we find this Turkish Delight. And Sphinx is a little bit conflicted, I think, sometimes as a hero, because there are definitely characters that I want to be rolling for right now. Baby Dragon is definitely one of them, and I'm more than happy to pick that up here and also pick up a Crystal Ball. That's pretty good. But any other dragons would also be quite strong for us because we do have that Dragon's Nest. and it was 4.0. It is still 4.0. Now we're just on 4.1 XP wise. But picking up XP is kind of an interesting thing, because the sooner you pick it up, the more you increase your chances of potentially finding a duplicate of it. And it's okay if we kind of take a back seat in terms of adding power to our board, because if we lose health, then we get a free big book of spells. So I think that always kind of complicates things when you are playing with the Sphinx, because there's things that I want to be doing. I want to find the crystal ball, right? I want to find potentially dragons in this specific instance. But I also want to find XP, because that's another really powerful avenue. And I don't mind if I start losing in some of my combat. So yeah, there's just a lot of things that make that somewhat interesting. And speaking of interesting, I think that is kind of a weird play there, to sell off my hand and go for the Masquerade Ball. Though I do like Masquerade Ball, it's kind of like just a different take on XP. There were only really 2 things, maybe 3 things that I was looking for there as a level 5 character. Well, one thing is a level 5 character, right? I'm looking for Aeon. And then Spellweaver and Mummy are 2 other potential things that I'm looking for the level 3 character. But I'm not sure if 2 gold just to level up 2 different characters was actually worth it. I was probably best off if I just saved my gold, and then I'd have 2 extra gold to roll for Aeons on the following turn. But because of those silly plays, we do go below 20 health, so calculated, I guess. That was more that we just played up against the Lobby leader. The Headless Horseman is really strong, and that does bring up an interesting point though. Now that we are below 20 health, I kind of want to prioritize just getting strong. We got that free book of spells, and that's nice, but I also want to not die. I am going to take a little bit more damage for a Forbidden Fruit to continue to roll for Aeon, and that's also an interesting point. I've brought this up a lot before on the Sphinx, that you do want some kind of catalyst. You do want your spells to be a little bit cheaper to get you started, because if you just spend full price for all of your spells once, like we tried to do in our video the other day, a lot of times you just don't have the time to do everything that you need to do. And the other awkward part, this is why Aeon is so good, because you can temporarily play an Aeon, and even some treasures, you play them temporarily, and then you can discard the hat or something later on. That's a pretty common line. You wind up discarding the hat because you have the Aeon, and in the Sphinx's case, you can even discard the Aeon after a little bit. Now, we are going to wind up getting a little bit lucky and finding a second Turkish Delight, so I am going to actually find a third one, by the way, as well, but I am going to spend the time to pick that up, which just means we can't Crystal Ball for the rest of the turn, but is otherwise pretty good. And then we're actually going to finish off 5.2 by picking up an Aeon still. And yeah, like I said, it's tricky because you do want your spells to be a little bit cheaper, so that way you can get into the crystal ball of it all, and Aeon just helps facilitate that. But the cool thing is that you can eventually cut the Aeon, though by that time the Aeon is big enough that you generally don't wind up cutting it, but we'll see what we do with that Aeon before we are through here. I think we wind up, no, I think it makes it onto our final comp, this same Aeon, just because, yeah, it just gets so big. But we are moving on to 6.0 right now. We've got some nice big lightning dragons, and the Aeon also gets to grab a sleigh against this Celestial Tiger. So really nice combat for us. Our spells are going to cost 2 less on this next turn. I think we will take some damage though here. My opponent has some pretty large characters, yeah. So we do want to stop taking damage at some point now, that's for sure. A Drink Me Potion is nice, that's free, and then that's going to let us cast all of these spells basically for free. We spent a little bit on the Merlin's test. I did roll past a Croc and that was largely because I still want to add more strength to the board, but at some point I am going to want to start casting some croc spells as well, and looking for some more treasures from those, and that I think is definitely part of the strength of the Sphinx. You find some crocs, and then you can actually take and grab a bunch of tier 6 treasures to go along with your crystal ball. So that's part of the plan. I'm going to finish this one off with a lightning bolt. There is some temptation to just go for the masquerade ball there. We would see 2 different level 6 characters, potentially some scions of the storm or something like that, but at 9 health, playing up against the other lobby leader, this potion master, also looking quite strong at 38 health. I want to be respectful here, and I want to take the lightning bolt and just help us that much more. Now, this turn, our spells are going to cost 4 less. We got both of our Aeons to grab a sleigh here, and I'm still somewhat interested in some tier 4 treasures, so I'm going to wind up picking up a lightning dragon, tossing that dragon's nest, looking for fork and rod, basically, when I say tier 4 treasures. The Moonsong Horn, I'll take it. My spells cost 5 less this turn for the ones that I haven't already cast. But I'm not going to wind up making super huge use of that because I do want to pick up a Scion of the Storm here. That's going to be a great thing to throw in a Croc spell, by the way. And then I'm going to finish this turn off by casting this Toil and Trouble and locking onto the Aeon Triple. And I think that we could even get away not locking onto the Aeon Triple. I mean, I'm also locking on here for the Feed the Kraken, which is just a free spell, and I'm happy to pick that one up, but we don't really need a tier 5 treasure. At the same time, it is going to help us to consolidate some of the power on the board. I don't know, maybe this Aeon lock was wrong. There's not too much time left in the game, and maybe I should have just never upgraded my Aeons, because then we would have had more powerful characters on the board. Not more powerful characters, but more powerful characters, because we'd have 2 distinct Aeons that we could use. Meanwhile, we're still playing a Crafty. Despite the fact that we have 5 treasures right now, Crafty does not get the bonus of us having 5 treasures. He only sees that we've got 3 treasures, and then here's where we're going to start crocking some stuff. I am going to get rid of that Crafty, and then I'm also going to throw this Scion of the Storm in a croc, and that will allow us to get some, sorry, I was a little bit distracted. I should have cast the Evil Twin before picking up the Aeon, or potentially even just instead of picking up the Aeon. But yeah, the Crocs will potentially allow us to build into some tier 6 treasures. That's the plan with those. And then this turn I'm going to finish off with a Ride of the Valkyrie. This second Aeon that we picked up, definitely a lot weaker than that first one, but I still think that we're pretty strong here. Our ranged units are pretty nice, and then we do have 3 really big mages, the Wizard's Familiar, the Aeon, and then that Scion that's inside of that Croc. So I think that we're doing okay. We'll see how we face up now against this Headless Horseman, which is still looking strong, though I think that we are a little bit stronger at this point in the game. Most of our mages can trade 2 for 1 with my opponent here, which is going to be important because they grab some free characters as well off of those Wombats in disguise. But we are going to have enough. Luckily, my opponent did not get that Friendly Spirit out while they still had other characters left, because then we would have lost and died. But we remain alive here, and we're going to cast some more spells to finish this one off. We're up against the Ghost, but this Headless Horseman still has a bunch of health. We just put them down to below 40 for the first time, so this is still going to be a little bit of a long game. And we're kind of actually hoping at this point that Headless Horseman takes out Gwen. That way we can just focus on one player that we're playing up against here. And otherwise too, like, if Gwen defeats Headless Horseman, that means we have to play against Gwen while the Headless Horseman gets to fight up against the Ghost. So we're cheering for the Headless Horseman, and then we're going to see what we can do to take them down. We do get to pick up our first next level treasure here in the form of the Pandora's box, so we'll see what we're able to grab off of that. And then I'll cast a few more spells here to end the turn. One thing that I want to point out, because I am going to mess it up here a little bit, we should be throwing, like, we're just trying to croc anything, so that way we can grab some treasures out of that, because the croc spells are free, and then we can grab level 6 treasures. my next croc should go on my upgraded croc, and then I'll have a Croc-Crockin there. Now, one thing that does get a little bit awkward is Mirror Mirror. Actually makes it worse to be crocking things because that's not really synergistic with each other. And I wind up, I believe, throwing this Scion of the Storm inside of a croc at like the very end of this turn. We run into one last croc spell and I just make a very split second decision, though now that I'm seeing this, now I'm thinking maybe it happens next turn and I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's see, Merlin's Test, and we got one more roll here. No, I do think I wind up crocking. Oh no, okay, I Pigomorph. So next turn, that's gonna happen, is I'm gonna wind up crocking, but then I won't get the Mirror Mirror out of the Scion of the Storm. One thing that I did mention though is we don't really have to worry about Aeon. We do even still have the horn, the Moonsong horn there, but I'm gonna move Aeon to position number 3 because we really don't need it to slay. Most of our spells are free at this point in the game, and now we can focus on getting more bonus attacks in with our ranged characters. We just transformed our Wizard's Familiar into a Shadow Assassin here. We're also gonna get a little bit owned by that Medusa that turns our best character with our Mirror Mirror into a Gargoyle, so that part's a little bit awkward. It comes back as a 2/2 Gargoyle, a 1/1 plus the 1/1 from Moonsonghorn, but we still have a ton of stats, and we're still going to win this combat pretty easily, hitting my opponent for 12 and putting them down to 22. So altogether, I think that this is a pretty nice scenario for us. It looks like we're winning these fights, and I think we're going to be able to keep winning them because we've got 5 treasures and my opponent only has 3. Oops, my camera died. Might just have to turn that off. I've had to like start and stop this recording so many times at this point. Let's see, we're half ball in. Okay, camera's not going to turn back on. Apologies, but we're going to cast a few more spells. We basically need to win 2 more fights. I'm also going to move some things around here. What did I do? I don't know. I just wound up True Love's Kissing and doing some stuff. Oh, here's where we hit the Scion of the Storm with a croc spell. We had like no time left on the clock, so I just did something to do it and not lose the clock. Now this does give us a 9th book of Merlin. What is that called? 9th Book of Merlin? Sorry, I'm so distracted by the camera, and there was like a car alarm that went off 2 seconds ago, so I had to stop and start for that as well. But we're about to be really strong. We have not yet added the 9th Book of Merlin to our crew here, but we are going to now, and then that is basically just unstoppable. Like, we've got Crystal Ball, effectively Merlin's Hat, with Aeon and with our hero power. We've got a big book of spells, and then we also have Mirror Mirror, 9th Book of Merlin. So yeah, just a crazy high roll to have access to all of that stuff. And now the camera's back as well. So at this point, I'm gonna do something a little bit silly, and I actually think that this might be more powerful too. Okay, now you're just trolling me. We get to just frontline all of our ranged characters, and I'm kind of doing this as a joke as well because I thought it would be funny. Sorry about the camera sounds. And then I wind up Mix-a-Whistling or True Love's Kissing the Bear Stain right before the end of it here. But I do want to frontline mages, so that way they will respawn with the Mirror Mirror, and we'll be able to 9th Book of Merlin my opponent again. And there is some, it does make some sense to keep the Aeon alive and put that in the back line, but at this point, I'm just doing it for fun to frontline all of these ranged characters. It would certainly be a little bit stronger to have backline supports, and then I'm supporting the things that I'm resummoning off of Mirror Mirror, but that was a funny ending screenshot. Oops, and I turned on my camera again for a freeze frame there. That's still not working, but we're gonna end the video with that. A little bit chaotic at the end, but like I said, I stopped and started this one 3 times already, and something else is gonna go wrong if I try to re-record some more stuff again. So for today, that is gonna be it for me. Thank you guys very much for watching. Hopefully this was still fun amidst the chaos. We had a very chaotic ending board here as well, but that's it for me today. I'm No Lex Given. Peace.